Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, the UK demographic cliff is flashing deep red structural warnings. AI giants are locking developers into caffeinated sprints to build the future. And the robotic sci-fi hardware we all imagined as kids is now actually hitting the market.
At consumer prices, no less.
Exactly. This deep dive is our rapid-fire analysis of the pulse of the market and culture, drawn straight from the wire. And we're here to help you connect the dots between all this macro anxiety and the sheer speed of tech acceleration.
It's a real-time assessment of velocity. I mean, when you look across all the source material today, from global population stats to robotics, the one theme is that the timeline for fundamental change just keeps getting shorter.
Hold forward.
Yeah. We have to ask not just what is happening, but what are the cascading consequences of all these things accelerating at once?
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the highest stakes item in the stack, the macro picture. There's a post from @xfreeze that highlights a looming demographic crisis in the UK.
And the claim is stark.
It really is. It says the native population is disappearing rapidly. The birth rate is hovering around 1.3, which is just a chasm away from the 2.1 replacement level you need for generational equilibrium.
And look, this is far from just some online fear-mongering. This is basically a confirmation of established demographic reality. We are talking about the total fertility rate, or TFR.
Right, the average number of children per woman.
Exactly. And the Office for National Statistics, the ONS, their data for UK-born mothers sits at 1.39.
So it's already negative, natural change.
Already negative. Which means any population growth the UK is seeing right now is 100% driven by net migration.
That feels like a mathematical certainty, just pushing a structural crisis right to the edge. So what are the ripple effects? I mean, right now, beyond just the numbers.
Well, the implications are they're immediate and profoundly destabilizing. When you have fewer young workers supporting an aging population, the strain hits two main pillars: the welfare state and the labor market.
The NHS, for example.
Think about the National Health Service. It relies so heavily on labor doctors, nurses, staff, and the funding from that working-age tax base. As that ratio of retirees to workers gets worse, you're looking at a permanent healthcare capacity crisis.
Irrespective of funding.
Exactly. And then you have the housing market. The dynamic shifts completely. Demand is only maintained by external migration, which complicates everything: infrastructure, social tension, you name it.
And that convergence, that structural fiscal strain meeting identity politics, that's potent. You can see that volatility just explode in the replies to the post.
Oh, yeah.
People amplifying concerns that the white British population could become a minority by 2060 on current trends. That's powerful political fuel.
It is. The mathematical reality becomes fodder for identity anxiety, which feeds political polarization. And understanding these pressure points is key because it influences every single economic and regulatory decision a country makes.
Including how they staff their tech sector.
Which we're about to get to.
That's a fundamental context for everything.
Yeah.
And speaking of political volatility, that kind of high-stakes discourse is obviously amplified on the platforms themselves. Let's pivot to X. We have a business vibe check from @Chepadoj.
Announcing an all-time high in new user engagement.
The numbers are massive. Time spent in-app is up 43% over the last 6 months. I mean, that kind of acceleration is usually reserved for a brand new product launch, not a mature platform.
Right.
And the source context attributes this surge to X's unique proposition: uncensored discourse and real-time news. The average daily user time is now around 30 to 31 minutes. For the platform, those are huge validation numbers.
It suggests their strategy is working, yeah. But what's fascinating here is the trade-off. This is where the second-order effects come in.
Okay.
Yes, engagement is through the roof, but you have to examine the nature of the discourse that's driving that success. The promise of uncensored discourse is also, another name for regulatory liability. We are watching countries, especially in the EU, enforce really stringent content regulations. The Digital Services Act is the big one. And high engagement fueled by polarizing, real-time, often unchecked information that directly challenges those standards. It's creating enormous future risk.
But wait, isn't that uncensored nature also the reason why critical news like, say, updates on a geopolitical conflict breaks there first? That's a value proposition competitors just can't match.
It is the ultimate tightrope walk. You're monetizing speed, and that unfiltered access is invaluable during a crisis. But that same speed is what scares advertisers and regulators. The spike is impressive, but sustaining it without some kind of catastrophic regulatory or reputational damage, that's going to take constant vigilance and, frankly, some luck.
That is the perfect lead into segment 2, where speed is really the only metric that matters. AI and robotics acceleration, this is where that demographic skills gap we just talked about meets this aggressive tech push.
Right.
We're seeing this massive effort by XAI, documented in a post from @Nawfal about Grokathon 2.0.
Ugh. The famous code, caffeine, and chaos post. It sounds like a marketing event, but it's really a competitive strategy.
Precisely. They are locking developers in a room for 12 hours of nonstop coding in London. They're using unreleased Grok models, XAPIs, building real apps. It's an explicit, aggressive race to build an exclusive developer ecosystem around their models.
And if we connect this back to the demographic data, this whole rush is heavily subsidized. Grokathon isn't just a fun hackathon.
It's infrastructure building.
Exactly, disguised as an adrenaline sprint. They need developers who might be hard to find locally, given that labor crunch, to build things that only run on their stack and build them fast. The goal is to catch up to OpenAI and Anthropic by just buying developer loyalty.
So the true innovation rate is secondary.
It's secondary to the pace of ecosystem dominance.
And this developer push connects immediately to creative democratization. Look at this post from @InVideo Official about their InVideo Vision tool.
Oh yeah, the demo rewriting the Stranger Things ending.
Yes. They turned it into an Avengers Doomsday crossover. And they're offering free and unlimited access for 7 days. You don't need to be a skilled editor anymore. You can just rewrite the ending you didn't like.
This is where the AI application really meets the mass user base. NVIDIA already has, 50 million users?
Over 50 million.
So now they are tapping directly into this global trend of fan fiction and content modification. And the cultural implications there are massive. The ability to instantly rewrite established IP, like turning a Netflix show into a Disney blockbuster. It just exponentially blurs the line.
It empowers the user, for sure.
It empowers the individual user, yes. But for the IP holders, Disney, Netflix, they aren't worried about one person making fan art. They are worried about 50 million users simultaneously generating high-quality, legally ambiguous derivative content at the click of a button.
Legal nightmare.
It sets up these huge, unprecedented legal battles over ownership, modification rights, and just the value of the original story in an age where you can have infinite remixes.
The legal teams are probably having more intense code sprints than the Grokathon developers.
Probably.
But the software push is, it's nothing without the hardware revolution. We are now jumping right into the realization of childhood sci-fi. A post from @StuffListings about the Unideskmate.
The robotic iPhone stand from CES.
And it's not a passive charger. It tracks you. It uses the iPhone display for expressive eyes, and it mounts with MagSafe.
And crucially, the signal here is the price point, under $300. For a device with AI tracking and this expressive anthropomorphism, the acceleration has made AI hardware tangible and accessible, just instantly lowering the barrier to entry.
That price point immediately makes you ask, what existing tech does this thing just cannibalize?
Oh, it fundamentally challenges the whole smart home ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
The one dominated by passive voice assistants like Amazon Echo and Google Home. Why would you talk to an invisible sphere when you can interact with a device that physically tracks you and uses expression to communicate? The Deskmate, whether it's actually useful for Slack or not, establishes that sub-$300 expectation for AI companionship hardware. It's the beginning of the end for the static smart speaker era.
And while the Deskmate is about companionship, the raw performance breakthroughs in dexterity are also accelerating like crazy. We've got this video from @Remixing of UMA Robots.
The Wuji Hand prototype.
Yeah, and his caption is just faster than expected. We are talking incredibly rapid, precise finger articulations. The breakthrough is apparently enhanced heat dissipation in the actuators.
And we should remember Kadine's pedigree here. He's a former contributor to Tesla Optimus, robotics lead at Hugging Face. He knows exactly where the performance ceiling was just 6 months ago.
So he's a reliable source.
Absolutely. And his post confirms that the LoRobot HF framework, which is basically the open source control software for robotics, is generating this massive shared hardware acceleration for everyone.
So when he talks about hitting milestones like pro-level guitar playing in the near term,
we're not talking about 2040 anymore. We're talking about fundamental changes to precision manufacturing, delicate assembly, even surgery in 2026 and 2027. The speed of AI software development is now fully matched by demonstrable, accessible robotics hardware. That's the critical convergence.
Okay, let's take a breath and move from Uh, Existential labor threats to the digital water cooler. This segment is for the bizarre viral artifacts that capture the internet's attention.
The one about the product key. It's a truly unsettling blend of technical utility and just dark archival sleuthing.
I agree. The post from @PossiblyAzure detailed the successful activation of Windows 7 Home Premium using a product key found visible on a Toshiba laptop in the DOJ released Jeffrey Epstein files.
File ePays 000002467 to be specific, and there's video of it working.
Yeah, step-by-step confirmation.
The mechanism of its virality is perfect. You have this niche retro computing crowd celebrating that a Windows 7 key from that era still works.
A technical curiosity.
Right. And you mix that with the intense, dark historical sleuthing that follows every single release of high-profile evidence.
How does that specific combination blow up and reach millions of people?
It's the ultimate ironic crossover that X just specializes in. Technical utility found in a context of immense human darkness. It turns a piece of evidence, a serial number, into a functional digital tool. It highlights this strange, persistent obsession the internet has with technical artifacts found in dark historical contexts.
But is also a data failure.
A huge one. It shines a light on data handling failures. If a product key is visible in a high-stakes evidence release, what else was overlooked? It's a forensic failure turned into a viral meme.
Unsettlingly modern. Using a tragedy to get a free OS upgrade.
Okay, to close out our cultural deep dive, let's look at niche immersion. We have a post from @Norabin327.
The VR chat scene with the custom Unity shader. The immersive Misty Party vibe. That's the one. It's a very specific technical achievement, creating dense, volumetric fog particles that interact realistically with a mirror ball light. It's designed specifically to get rid of that flat billboard look that can break immersion in VR.
It's a huge win for realism in these social worlds, and it's a perfect example of what the immersive economy looks like when it gets really granular. Developers are pushing the boundaries of niche aesthetic.
But there's a catch.
There's always a catch. The context provides the critical constraint. It has high-performance demands.
Which raises the essential question for the metaverse.
Exactly. Is realism always going to be constrained by the average user's hardware? The race isn't just to build the best shader. It's the race to optimize these niche aesthetics so they run smoothly on the lowest common denominator GPU or headset. The developer who can optimize the most complex aesthetics for the masses. That's who dominates the future of immersive experiences.
The core conflict of the next decade. Infinite ambition running into finite CPU capacity. Okay, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. From the demographic anxiety hitting the UK and the huge engagement growth on X, to Grokathon developer sprints, and the cultural democratization from tools like NVIDIA Vision.
And critically, that undeniable proof of robotics acceleration with the Wuji Hand.
Right, and the democratization of AI hardware with that sub-$300 unit deskmate.
And that convergence, the rush to build AI tools meeting these faster-than-expected hardware breakthroughs, it points clearly to what's coming next. My prediction for tomorrow, based on this, is sharp.
Let's hear it.
The democratization of AI-enabled physical hardware is going to accelerate beyond expectation. That sub-$300 price for the Unideskmate, that's the new baseline. We will see multiple $100 to $300 consumer robotics and AL companion devices announced in the next quarter alone.
So this is happening fast.
Very fast. These physical mobile AI companions will challenge, and I think rapidly displace, the established smart home ecosystems that relied only on passive voice assistance. The AI will physically sit on your desk and move, demanding interaction, not just live silently in a static speaker.
That's all the vibe we have time for today. See you tomorrow.